Welcome back to part 50 of Final Fantasy 15. 5-0. God, this Let's Play's gone on so long. This time we're going to show off the Regalia Type F, one of the alternate versions of the Regalia you can get, and we're also going to show off all the training you can do. Because all the training modes we've avoided throughout this, but there's a lot to do and we're going to do all of them. And yes, I mean we're going to do all of them, for anyone who's played this game and knows how difficult the later ones get. It's why the video is 26 minutes long. Because we fly over to our next destination, which will make complete sense when we get there, why I'm flying there. And then afterwards we do all the training, and then next time, well, what we'll do next time will be very obvious, if it isn't already obvious where we're going to go. Here's the warning immediately: if you crash whilst you're flying this thing, because it can fly, it's a game over.
Time to go.
If the vehicle is destroyed in any way, shape or form when you're in the sky, it's over. It's just game over, the end. There is no coming back from it. So be very wary how you drive this thing and how you take off. Which makes landing in the post-game exclusive area very difficult, because the small sharp bit of road you have to land on is really tiny. And getting into it is extremely difficult, but getting out of it, I don't see how it's possible really, unless you get extremely lucky. The way I've always got out of it is just to get the car towed and teleport to where the car is. It's right there, that little bit of road right there, that's what we got to land on. So since you can't mark areas on the map when you're in the flying vehicle, I just make an image in my head, and you're going to see as we go across. I'm going to check the map every so often. But yeah, this is the Regalia Type F. This is the closest thing to an airship you get in 15. Because Final Fantasy games are infamous for giving you airships to travel around. But 15 is one of the exceptions. You don't get an airship, this is just how you get around. Which, to be fair, I like it. It's not this big major thing, it's a nice little post-game treat. I hope in the next Final Fantasy game, in 16, they can find a way to bring back an airship in full glory like they used to. Like, make a proper big 3D debut of a fully usable airship. Because that was one of the best and most lovable things about the classic games, is that when you're on the open field, you can just tap a button and an airship will come get you, sort of thing, and you can just fly around the open map however you please. Yeah, they'd have to balance it and work it to make sure you only go when you need to go, because unfortunately this is modern day video gaming, and they can't just pull a Final Fantasy 1 and just kind of make it really open to you, even though FF1 was actually really well handled in like goading you to go where you needed to go. But I'd just love to see a fully functioning modern airship in a Final Fantasy game. I mean, like, if Bravely Default and Bravely Second can do it, and they're both relatively recent games still, like they're only a couple years old, why hasn't the big bad boy Square Enix done it with Final Fantasy? If Scylla can do it with Bravely, they can do it with this. It shouldn't just be a little post-game secret to get into a post-game dungeon. I should be able to explore the world, go across oceans, you name it. Yeah, they might have to make it go a lot faster, which might demolish the rendering engine, because as you're going to see as we go through this, the rendering engine and software they use for this doesn't quite function the way it should when you're using the airship. It doesn't quite like it, because this thing's too fast for the rendering to keep up. It might be better on Pro or on the PC version, but on the base PS4 Slim, like, that whole building just spawned in front of us. Yeah, but that's my only request. Final Fantasy 16, bring back airships. Hashtag bring back airships. No, I'm joking. We're nearly there. We're heading towards the Rock of Ravito, because there's a little bit barricaded by boulders and rocks and you name it off to the side. That when I first went through this game, before I beat it, also there was a load screen for like a split second there. I didn't edit that out. The game literally just stopped, brought up a load screen for a split second, and then got rid of it. That's how ahead of the rendering we are. Like, on my blind playthrough when I first got to this bit, I actually spent a good while trying to get into that area, and it was only when I realised that you get the airship post-game that I was like, oh, I'm guessing it's a post-game area then, they just don't want you to get there yet. And to be fair, like, I've recorded the next part as well. Like, I've gone into where we'll be heading after this and done all that, which is I'm very forgiving and very happy for, because it took me several hours on my first playthrough, and it took me 2.5 hours in this one. And then when I edited out all the downtime of me not working out what to do, or that I went to have like a couple snacks halfway through, which took a lot of time and whatnot, or took a little bit of time. Once that was all edited out and whatnot, it's like 47 minutes. You're going to see me start to slow down now because we're approaching, and I suggest you do the same if you're following along. Slow down from quite a distance, because that little path right in front of us, just past this rock, is where we gotta land. And you're gonna see, despite my best efforts, slowing down really early, holding down the X button for a good while, when we go to land, we bump, and then we crash. And somehow, the vehicle didn't get destroyed from that. It got smashed to hell, but it's still functioning, it's still usable, so it didn't count it as a game over. If the vehicle is demolished there, even if it doesn't explode or anything like that, it will still say game over.
Rock and roll.
There are some unique enemies in this area as well that you're going to see me fight. And some of them actually aren't that high a level, which is surprising because this is a post-game area. I would have, if I designed it, I would have made literally all of them really high level. Like make them around level 60 or 70 sort of thing, because it's post-game. It's allowed to be stronger than the main game. But no, you're going to see a few enemies that are definitely of that mark. But you're going to see a lot that are actually a bit lower level here. But these guys aren't as high a level as they could be. They're still annoying because it's a flying wasp-like enemy, so what you should really be doing is stopping the prompter as soon as you get the chance to stand a better opportunity against them. And I guess while we're working our way through the battles, something to talk about. I watched the speed run of Final Fantasy 15 recently on there's like an RPG version of the charity speedrun event that's a lot better handled than GDQ's been for years. And it was about 5 hours long, and I watched the whole of it, and it was fascinating to see what was learned. Like, the most interesting thing I learned is that jumping like a moron is faster than sprinting. Especially if you can then warp strike at the top of every jump. It was like, you either use daggers, because they have the best distance and shortest recovery for like saving time, so you get the most out of it for what you use. Or you use the air step sword because it halves the amount of magic you use when you warp strike, so you can do it for more often. They completely skipped the Chocobo side quest of getting Deadeye, and so in the chapter of Rami where you don't have the car, they just jumped and air stepped striked as much as they could, and made sure to like angle their paths so they'd always end up in like one encounter along the way, so they could point warp to reset their mana and then keep on going without actually fighting the fight. And then they do like, there's something that I knew about but never tried to exploit. In the final boss against Arden, the final warp strike you do to Arden before it goes into the second phase kind of affects how much damage all the warp strikes do in the second phase. So when you think you're one hit away or one good hit away from Arden's second phase, make as much distance as you can and warp strike him. And then when you get to the second phase, just spam triangle, and you'll notice that every single hit will do like 3 times. It'll say warp strike damage times 3 sort of thing, and you'll just rip for his HP. It's a really weird thing that they just, I don't know if it's a glitch. Like in the speedrun they said it wasn't. They said it was just damage stacking. But I don't know. It's a bit of an awkward thing to argue that. They also got like hard edge for like maximum damage for critical hits and whatnot, and just it was a really well done run, but it seemed very feasible. That they didn't abuse any glitches or exploits. There were a few things that are a bit like, wait, what? You can do that? Like the very first tutorial boss that we did way back in like part 1 or 2, where it's like after you find Dave in the hut and he asks you to kill something for him, you could kill that thing in literally 2 hits, and I had no idea. Because it starts you off with a base magic spell when you start the game. All you need to do is get a bit of distance, warp strike it. The warp strike will make it vulnerable, and immediately use the magic, and the magic kills it. And it's done in 2 hits. It's done in 5 seconds. I had no idea you could break that fight that quickly.
Easy, big spender.
Well, the majority of their speedrun strats involved sheerly abusing the magic. And you're going to see me, but now aware that jumping is faster than sprinting, jump around a lot more in this part and the next one. But in the next one, you're not going to see me do it too often because you can't warp strike in the dungeon we're heading to anyway. And I'm trying my hardest not to talk about it. You can see it, it's on screen now. It's in the background past those rocks up there. I even turned the camera towards it a little bit. But I'm going to refrain from talking about the dungeon too much now because, well, it's a long part, next part. And so I'll be talking about it in depth when we get to it and when we record it. I don't know when I'll get around to recording it, but I'll definitely get around to it soon. The Monoth Haven. Right, for the rest of the part, we're going to be around this haven. Just to warn you. Because we're going to be showing off the train mode. When the game first launched, there was only one option when you click on it initially, and it was train with Gladiolus. But in updates, they eventually added training with Aranea, which we'll also show off. At first, you're supposed to be doing this as you go along, which is why the first one is level 5 and Gladio is not going to last long here. But the later ones get pretty tough, especially the final trial, which asks you to be level 99. I nearly said required. It doesn't require you to be a level, it's distance through the game will then unlock the next trial, not your level. So you can use it to your advantage to find your way through when you need to. Also, just an odd little thing they decide to do. Gladio and Co, because Gladio will bring teammates along to make this against everyone eventually, wear different and more casual costumes as the training goes on for some odd reason. Like now we've just unlocked Gladio and Iggy. Then it'll be Gladio and Prompto, and then it'll be everyone. And then afterwards I think is final trial. And the last trial is extremely difficult to do consistently even when you're level 99. And the Aranea trial, the last one of that's level 120, which it also isn't particularly fun. But you're going to see me do all of them, despite the fact we're not the highest level in the world, purely because we have Armiger Unleashed. Once in the right hands, Armiger Unleashed can win you any fight in the game, regardless of your level. Yeah, you just have to be careful that you're not immortal like normal Armiger, but that really doesn't matter half the time. You will really just wreck your way through this. I like how Nox does a little fist bump every time you win. Now it's Gladio and Prompto. Prompto can be a little annoying to fight against because, you know, he's entirely ranged, but just keep an eye on him and keep focus. And he also has the smallest amount of HP, so you can use that to your advantage as well and end this fight very quickly for him. Case in point. He did confuse us though, he managed to get the star shell out that confuses. Ow. Ow. Yeah, this is the whole rest of the part, it's the Gladio fights. And in fact, they are fun to mess around with, and you do get little rewards as you go on. Other than just AP. Like now we got training against everyone. Which I think is level 40, yeah it is level 45. And this one could be a little tougher because you have to be wary of how they work. But the main thing that you should pay attention to in all this is that Ignis can heal. Like, this is just me. I end up doing this twice just to try it, and both times it doesn't work, so I'm just going to assume you can't do it. Like, you might be able to, but Also, because I got stopped, the Armiger Unleashed was immediately broken because it counted as a refusal action. So I have to get it back and then back off and then try again. Also, Iggy's immune to Holy, so don't mess with him. The best combo you should be using to try and get this is the jump combo attack, this one, and then hit again and then follow it up again, because you can follow up the second strike with that. There is a continuation combo after that attack, and then that should be enough to kill most things in the training. And you get a gold bangle for your efforts, even though we've got a better bangle. And we also get the final trial, which is level 99. It doesn't sell you, because they want you to make that suicidal move yourself, but it is level 99, and we are not level 99, so we're going to be using Armiger Unleashed to survive this. You're going to see me also try and ow, look how much damage that did. You're also going to see me try and use Alterna again, but it doesn't work, and it was just pounding that I didn't need. I think I also end up using a potion at one point of this as well. Yeah, so we're on 2,000 HP, which sounds like a lot in itself, but when you think we're usually on 1 point away from 10,000, yeah, it's we've taken a good chunk of it off. If you don't have the Adamanto's Bangle and you're fighting at this low level, yeah, you're not gonna last long. If you want to build up your armor, like, your fastest two choices oppositely is either a great sword because you get the most in a single hit, or daggers because they hit so often. But now you've got Armored Unleashed, like, we'll be fine. Because you're immortal during these fancy animations, which is nice. And then, I missed it on that one, but I do eventually start doing it. It's that last hit that you want to start getting the connections on. This one, still didn't get it. I can't remember which one I did. Eventually I start getting it consistently as well. Also, don't mash the button because it will cancel it out. You have to actually time your attacks. There we go. This will almost win you every single fight. That's the combo there. And now we're going to do a dynamic stance and get shoved across away from the animation, just so we can try and ruin Valio's day. But this one ends up working against me a little bit as a strategy because Iggy ends up just healing him. So eventually you're going to see me notice and just turn on Iggy. But once you have the strategy down, it's not too hard to fight. Like, don't get me wrong, it can be difficult even when you're prepared, because it's 3 enemies at once and they're all level 99, and one of them can heal. Like, it's not something that's supposed to be particularly friendly, but it is very doable. I like how they're still trying to attack after we just nuked them. But it is a cool idea to have like a camp training mode. There is a normal training mode where you can where you're in a more traditional combat practice room that you can mess around with combos, see tutorials and whatnot as you go. This is more of just training tests to see if you're ready at certain points in the game, or if you're ready at level 5, level 10, yada yada. And we just happen to be doing them all now. I really should have made the effort to do them as we went along, but oh well. Oh, and that's it. And that's it for the Gladiator trials, and now on to the Aranea trials, which I think there's only 4 of them compared to how many we had here, and we get a blue diamond bracelet for our trouble, which is nice. So we're going to go down to train with Aranea. And hers are a bit higher level, because when they added her to the update, they made it so you only get her training once you've, once she's on your side. Which makes sense, so it's going to be a later level anyway. Alright. The strategy of the Aranea, if you remember, the Aranea fight is in the main game, is very similar. She's just more aggressive, has more HP and does more damage. If she sits in the air like the way she is, warp striking to her will just be a waste of time. She's doing a dive attack. It's when she starts darting around the air, you want to warp strike after her. Also, this weirdly happens. You see, we try and get a few hits there and none of them connected. Yeah, this fixes itself after a little bit, thankfully, but I have an odd moment where the game just decides not to let me attack Aranea. Also, they only recorded 1 line of dialogue.
Not bad, but it'll take a little more than that to impress me, Prince Charming.
See? Well, I say see, you don't know, but when we get to the next trial, the exact same 2 lines will play. But now we've got advanced drills, which is a huge step up in levels immediately. level 50. But this one is still above level 4, so you should do fine. And even if you're not above level, like I said, you have Armager Unleashed you can get, it's fine. And the camera wants to help me, there we go. Whenever I want to dodge past me, that'd be nice. Problem is, I know why I keep getting hit. It's because I prefer to try and manual dodge, which just isn't what they want you to do in 15. They want you, when you see an attack, to hold square, not tap a direction and go. Like this. I think this is the one where she starts darting around, so I chase after her. There you go. If you just keep on her case, eventually you'll get a chance to counter. There you go. I don't know if it's intentional, but I thought it was kind of cool that when I warp strike straight down to her, I landed next to her to immediately begin comboing instead of just warp striking her and then having to bounce off and recover, sort of thing. Like, I'm going to assume the game intended for me to actually connect that warp strike, because it is a warp strike, but I just took it as a glorified point warp and went on my way.
Let's see what you can do.
So, what'd you think of that?
Not bad.
But it'll take more than that to impress me, Prince Charming.
Prince Charming.
See? They decided not to record any other lines, so you just keep on getting this. Either that or there is another recorded line and I just don't get it at all in this recording. But now we got the level 99 one.
Ready for this?
Major piece.
Which is pretty damn difficult, but it's not the hardest one. Between the game's launch and the update of RNA getting added, the level cap was up to 120. When the game first launched, the level cap was 99, which I still feel it should have stayed that way, because everything in this game, even the stuff added post it, is doable at 99. Like, even Omega, when we fight him, is very much doable underneath 120. The fight gets longer and longer the lower level you are. Also, yeah, that's how effective that strategy is. RNA has already done. But it'll take more than that to impress me, Prince Charming. And we get Anklet of the Gods, which is pretty handy. And now we get the final trial, which is a level 120. Or final exam, sorry. But yeah, but they upped it to 120 anyway. I made my peace with it. When they first added it, I felt like it was kind of pointless. Especially because it takes so much experience to actually level up past 99. It's like, it makes you really wonder why they even bothered. That once you beat the level 99 version, the 120, despite the level difference, isn't actually too much different. It's just you have it down at this point, sort of thing. So just crack on. If you have Armager Unleashed, use it and do the full combo, because once again it will do a crap ton of damage. She has more health, so it didn't immediately kill her this time. But we can just do it again. And the fight's over. See?
So, what'd you think
That's
of
all
that?
the trials, that's all the training done, so I can take that nicely off the list.
More than that to impress me, Prince Charming.
As we get our Dark Matter Bracelet, which is a nice item, I remember rightly. I'll have to check, like, we still got a few minutes left. And that took the whole evening in game. Look, it's now 9 PM. So we have a look at what we got. Auto Charger, makes a warp decoy, which is nice. Prevents petrification, extra health, extra attack, a lot of extra defense, and even more extra attack by 100, which is pretty nice. I think I equipped one of the items. I can't remember which one, but I'm sure I equipped something to Gladio. I think I give him the extra defense after I check what the tempered shield is again. Because even though Gladio doesn't really need it, he's just our brick wall, and I like supporting walls in games. So I won't give the defensive items to the weakest character to give them a chance. I'll give it to the most defensive character to help build up the wall. I think that's about it for items, really. Yeah. Oh, and I also put regroup back on Ignis. Because Libre Elemento is a very fun attack, don't get me wrong, and it's fitting for late game that he uses his sense instead of his vision because he can't see late game. But now we're back in the overworld. He has his sight back. He can use something normal. And as you can tell, this is pretty off the map. Where we are. It's very much you're not supposed to be here till post-game area. Also, I get the meal here that boosts your experience but lowers your HP by 90%. So we're gonna start the next part with only 999 HP, not 9,999 HP. But I just got it for something to eat to show off other meals. And it doesn't even boost experience like too much to really justify making this meal, but oh well. So we did that at level 62. If I can do it at level 62, you can do it.
Stylish as always.
I tried to save at least one photo from this, but I wasn't really the biggest fan of any of these. But that being said, next time on Final Fantasy 15, we're tackling the entirety of the post-game dungeon known as the Pitios Ruins. But until then, you guys take care now.